Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm not going to waste any time, get right into it today, because today I want to take you back to a time in my life that shaped everything I do right now. A time when I weighed 145 kilos, a time when my relationship with food was the worst, a time when my relationship with myself was crippled, a time when my relationship with my body was hurt and broken, a time when things were completely different to what it is today. This is not just about weight. This is about how I felt, how I saw myself, how I lived, and how I tried to survive in a world that just wasn't built for me. Something I often get asked is, Natasha, you probably don't remember what it feels like to be 145 kilos. It was such a long time ago, Natasha. You brag about that everywhere. You've kept your weight off for that long. But if you've ever struggled with weight, if you've ever struggled with body issues, if you've ever struggled with looking at yourself in the mirror, that's something that you'll never forget. That's something that's so deeply ingrained in you. You feel it every time you put your clothes on. It doesn't feel the same. It feels much, much different now. But you definitely know it happened. You definitely know there was a time where you couldn't even look at yourself in the mirror. And that's exactly where I want to start. I never looked at myself in the mirror. I hated it. I despised looking at the mirror. So that's exactly where I'm going to start. I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I didn't even bother to comb my hair. I didn't even bother to wash my face. Mind you, my mom would ask me every morning, Natasha, did you even wash your face? I didn't. And in my high time binging days, I know those that struggle with food out there can relate to this. In my high days of binging, I didn't care. I didn't care to shower. I didn't care to brush my hair. I barely brushed my teeth. I just cared to eat, to survive, to show up because I had to. I didn't care. I wore the same pair of black pants, which I still own to this very day. I still own those very pair of black pants. It's something that I couldn't get rid of, but this is it. So, what size is this? This was from a store there, actually, my favorite store there called MXM, and it's a size 22. And stand up and you can see them. It's like fits one part of me. These were my favorite work pants. And yes, I said I hated showering. Why did I hate showering? Because it reminded me of my body. It reminded me that if I were to go in there and put soap on a 145-kilo person, I would feel it. I would know it. I would have to experience it. And that part, that process, I hate it. I hated showers. Sometimes, till this very day, I despise it. Now, mind you, I still have a shower every single day, but I don't always like it. I can feel that feeling in me from years ago. And I have to remind myself, sometimes days in a row, that you're not that old person. You can go in, you can enjoy a shower, you can experience a good shower, you're worthy of a good shower. And these are things that the regular person that has never struggled with weight will not think of. They probably never even thought that that's something a person that's struggling with their weight goes through. Thinking about their body when they're showering, but that used to happen all the time. Now, that was the relationship I had with my body. So, yeah, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I hated my body. I actually didn't even realize how big I got until I went to go buy new clothes for myself. Now, that can tell you I avoided buying new clothes. This is why I wore the same pants again and again and again. And I would go in and they'd say, ma'am, we no longer carry your size. And okay, I adjusted to that over time until I started going to the plus size stores or until I started going to stores that offered plus size options. I remember it was Reitman's in Toronto in particular. And I went in and she said, ma'am, that's the biggest size. And I remember standing in that trial room after she left thinking, oh my God, I no longer fit into the biggest size that they had in a plus size section at the store. But God bless Toronto and Canada, because then came the plus size only stores where they made it easy for me to find my sizes And I went back to feeling comfortable again. I still hated trying on clothes, but I hated it a little bit less now that I know they had my sizes, now that I know that I was able to dress up, feel not so bad. Now, aside from me, let's talk about dealing with the people around me. That was a treat. Coming from an Indian household, having to interact with Indian families on a regular basis. My parents had a very, very social life where we were out almost every weekend at some aunt's or some uncle's house. Uh, and needless to say, my weight was always the topic of conversation. There were a few people, a few uncles that I still value, cherish, and have very, very good memories of. They really supported me and said some kind words. But 99% of the time, it was my weight. 99% of the time, it was Doris, who's my mom. You've got to do something about her weight. I got so used to my weight being a topic of conversation every time we went places that when it was not brought up, I thought something was wrong. I thought I was bad. I thought something must have happened. I never thought I lost weight. I just thought something wasn't right. Looking back now, if I could go back in time, I definitely have a word or two to say to those aunts, those uncles, and really confront them about how they thought that it was right to be talking about a child so viciously in front of her, calling her fat, saying things like, oh, at least she has a pretty face. And I get it. I get it. At times it was a moment of concern, but it's not like I didn't know. I mean, the best part when someone would come up to me, one of my mom's friends or someone from, an acquaintance would be like, if you just eat healthy and work out, you're going to lose all the weight, right? If you just eat a little bit healthy and work out. No shit, Sherlock. No shit. I know that. I know that. You're not telling me some brand new information. Like I had not tried eating healthy and working out. And thinking back to those moments now, all I can tell myself is God help them because the ignorance is beyond me. But I must say, even though all of this was happening around, even though these conversations of weight was coming up at parties, at events, even at home, I always found a way to bring the attention back to humor, to make it so that everyone feels happy, everyone feels pleased, and put a smile and make people laugh. And I started this very, very young, where I would say silly jokes, do funny things, do stupid things, because I realized at a very young age that if I do these silly, stupid things, the attention would be taken away from my weight. The people that were criticizing me, calling me fat, calling me chubby, pulling my cheeks, calling me thunder thighs. If you're watching this, you know who you are. Were now the same people that were laughing at my jokes. And I liked that. I liked the fact that they were no longer humiliating me, but actually humoring me. And that made me feel good. And that's something I brought on even after I lost the weight. It actually took me a very, very long time to let that part of me go, to make myself not be the gesture and always making everyone laugh, to make myself actually be seen for who I am. Now, when it came to my parents had very different approaches to dealing with my weight. My mom, in particular, God bless her, did every single thing that she could to help me lose weight. She really did. Right from a very young age, my mom was encouraging me to eat better, include more salads. There were moments she's put me on some unrealistic diets, but she was truly trying her best. Even when I had the biggest weight loss journey, I do give part of the credit to her. Because if it wasn't for her ensuring that I had a healthy meal at home every night, I wouldn't be able to get to my goal. I was working a full time job and I was a full time university student, working full time in the morning and going to university in the evening. As you can imagine, not very easy. and right now making me very emotional. But she did ensure to always make sure that healthy food was waiting for me at home. A good source of protein, lots and lots of vegetables, and that I truly, truly appreciate. Now, my dad, on the other hand, took a very, very different approach. He always kept his distance from me. As much as I love the man, some of the statements that he made along my journey growing up were very, very interesting. One of the ones I vividly remember was, Natasha, when you were born, everything went downhill. But when your sister was born, my luck changed for the better. So again, very early on, I realized that he didn't favor me a little too much. Even though he said he loved me at times in his own way, he didn't fail to mention that sentence quite a few times. When it came to my weight, he was quite standoffish about it. I believe he was also very embarrassed about it. Now, again, I've healed and I've come a far, far way from all of this. I still love my parents, don't get me wrong. They just said and did, like all parents say and do, things that hurt you, but I don't believe they actually realize the harm that it can cause. And I'm specifically sharing this because I know that there are people out there, I know there are clients that I've spoken to that have gone through very similar situations. Because when we look back at the moments to why we continued binge eating, why we stayed overweight, there were no environments that were actually supporting or inquiring deeper within eat right and work out. There were no environments supporting this child might have a deeper problem. Now, my sister, very interesting individual. She was a mix of teasing and protection. And by teasing, I meant I had this memory of my sister, very young, where she used to sing this song. I don't know, la la la, how does your fat grow? She used to sing it very sheepishly because she knew she was doing something wrong. But that being said, she was also very protective of me. I remember walking to her class once. We used to go to the same school to grab something from her, and the friends in her class were making fun of me. They're like, "Oh, Anishka, your sister is so fat. Your sister is so fat." And my sister stood up in the middle of in the class and started screaming, "Don't call my sister fat." I'm sorry. I mean, I knew this was going to be difficult. Being 145 kilos, there were moments that I was really jealous of my sister. And I know she's going to watch this and think, you were jealous of me, Natasha? I was. I really was. I was jealous of the attention that she got. I was jealous of how she could fit into those small clothes. Um, I was jealous that she had such great friends, that she was going to all the cool parties. Um, I was jealous that she was a popular kid in school. Yeah, I was. And it was difficult because I wanted all of that as well. It's not like we had the same friends. My sister was 5 years younger than me. So it's not like I could push myself in. And I remember when the tables turned and I started getting my own friends, not having lost the weight, but really picking up a good group of friends. And then my sister started hanging out with me. It would make me so angry. It would make me so angry because I would tell myself, why? Why do you have to now come with me? When you had it all, I never, I never got the chance. And I know she didn't mean it in a malicious way, but these were just the kind of things that I dealt with mentally. You know, these are the kind of things that I would sit there thinking about, pondering about, wishing about, hoping that it would be better or it would change. But I never said anything to anyone. Not my mom, not my dad, not my sister. Because at the end of the day, you believe what people tell you. I believed I was Thunder Thighs. I believed I was a gook. I believed that the popular kids didn't want to hang out with me because I was fat, because I had chin hair. And therefore, I lived my life in that manner, not wanting to dress up, not wanting to show up, and finding a lot of love, peace, and joy in food. I believe at some point, I even stopped caring. Why care? Why care what people think? If I can go home to a box of brownies and bag of chips, why should I even bother? It got so bad that there were moments that I would just be thinking about food from the moment I woke up, while I went to school, every period in class, and until that last bell rang. I just couldn't wait to walk home and ravish the kitchen. And that's how I lived day to day to day. I remember eating dinner and sneaking snacks upstairs in my clothes, in a blanket, in a jacket, so my parents wouldn't see that I was taking food up with me. Especially when I had a bad day or a sad day, because I didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't want to express to anyone, oh, I'm sad, I'm angry. No, absolutely not. I'd rather just stuff myself with food, and food's going to make me feel so good. Food's going to make me feel great. When it came to eating in public, I had a very standard rule of eating less and eating more when I'm alone. What that basically boiled down to is in front of other people, I ate very normal meals to the point where the people around me would be like, oh my God, you eat so little. How are you gaining weight? Maybe you should get your metabolism checked out. Maybe it's something to do with your genes, Natasha. But little did they know that back home, I was definitely eating my way up to 145 kilos. That was my way of pretending to be normal. Because how could I eat big plates of food when I'm looking big and they're already talking about me being big? So I had to show up and be normal and eat less, even though there were moments where I'd want to eat more. So I remember in some parties, I would go, and if no one was looking, I'd sneak a piece of pizza. If no one was looking, I'd push some cake in my mouth. If no one was looking, I'd put some cookies in my jeans and I'd run into the washroom to go eat it. That's how embarrassed I was of eating in front of people, because I just didn't want them to say anything more than they already had. Now, when I was with my family, I was completely fine. Specifically, when we went to buffets, I would go for dinner plates for desserts and dessert plates for dinner. Meaning that when it came to dessert, I had a huge plate that I would just pile on with all of my favorite desserts. Now, that being said, I must say, desserts were very normalized in our house. My mom really ensured that our fridge was well stocked with desserts. We had bread pudding, caramel custard, ice cream was always a staple. We had a house manager at the time that used to make these amazing ras malais, which is an Indian dessert. And so having dessert after dinner was a must. It was a given. And so I very quickly realized how good dessert used to make me feel and how I enjoyed it in large quantities. Hence, if I enjoy it in large quantities and we're going for a buffet, I'm going to get my value for money through desserts and not through dinner. It's crazy how you don't notice how fast it's happening until it actually hits. This wasn't just my past. It was my pain, my struggle, my story. Even though I had such good memories growing up, even though I had moments where my parents provided me the best, I was raised in a beautiful household. There were moments that were dark. There were moments that kept me longing for food. There were moments that I didn't think I could ever stop eating. I actually loved the pain more than having to deal with who I was as a person. And that is a really difficult pill to swallow. And if you're watching this feeling like no one gets it, trust me, I do. And if you're struggling with your weight right now, your confidence, your relationship with food, I want you to know that you are not alone. I want you to know there is hope, there is change, and that there is a life beyond this. And I want you to know that transformation is possible only when you start seeing yourself beyond a number on the scale. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments below because I really want to know your story. Thank you for listening to my story today, joining me through this very, very intimate experience, and I'll catch you in the next episode.